Some of the absolute best games released in recent years require an exorbitant number of hours to complete. Fleshing a story out over a long time can result in greater emotional payoff for sure, but there's a lot to be said for shorter, more focused gaming experiences too. Of course, games being short throws another consideration into the mix. Will I get value for my money if the game only takes a few hours to complete? It's a fair question, and the perceived value of something varies from person to person, but I'd like to throw a counterpoint out there in support of shorter games. Condensed experiences mean you'll likely finish more games. For the most part, gaming is something we fit into our lives, squeezing in playtime between other commitments and priorities. Shorter games give us a chance to play more titles, and the games in this rundown demonstrate that shorter doesn't mean inferior, just as larger doesn't always mean better. Resident Evil 7 BIOHAZARD. Ethan Winters' plunge into the depths of swampland Louisiana in Resident Evil 7 was Capcom's deliberate attempt to rejuvenate the famed horror franchise after the 5th and 6th entries divided fans. Gone are the action-focused antics of those preceding entries, replaced by a first-person horror-related experience with tense exploration throughout the smartly designed confines of the Baker family's abandoned plantation, with masterful pacing, memorable boss fights, and atmospheric sound design all delivered within a 9.5-hour runtime. RE7 succeeds in bringing unsettling horror back to the franchise. Little Nightmares 2. After the runaway success of 2017's Little Nightmares, Bandai Namco had a job on their hands delivering a worthy sequel. The result? A treacherous adventure through sinister locales in control of young boy Mono surpasses the original by building on what made the first game so great, that is, the stark feeling of vulnerability. There's a host of new gameplay mechanics too, from light combat to clever environmental puzzles, some of which are solvable via the aid of Sidekick 6. This diverse gameplay elevates the experience to something more memorable, and clocking in at only 5 to 6 hours to complete, it's a compact experience too. A Way Out. Before It Takes Two, developer Hazelight Studios delivered a captivating co-op experience in A Way Out. Players take control of either Leo or Vincent on a daring escape from prison, and just like the subsequent It Takes Two, successfully completing the game's narrative rests on the forming of a bond with each other, with trust and teamwork required to solve the game's puzzles. At the time, A Way Out provided as refined a cooperative gaming experience that had ever been seen before, with 6 hours being all that's needed to evade the authorities. There's never been a better time to dive right in with a friend and experience this one for yourselves. The Walking Dead Season 1. Telltale's The Walking Dead series eschews the puzzle-solving gameplay typical of graphic adventure games, and instead provides an experience focused on character development, and it's all the better for it. Principally focusing on protagonist Lee's complex father-figure relationship with 8-year-old Clementine in post-apocalyptic zombie-infested southern US, The Walking Dead's first season, which plays through 5 episodes, is heralded as a high watermark in video game writing, resulting in 80 Game of the Year awards. It's a shade over 10 hours to complete all episodes in Season 1, but it's a worthy inclusion to this rundown based on its writing alone. Firewatch. In Firewatch, you play as Henry, who escapes the struggles of his home life by becoming a fire lookout at a beautifully picturesque national park. Despite an extremely short 4-hour runtime, Henry manages to squeeze in a blossoming relationship with a fellow lookout, Delilah, whilst exploring a woodland laced with tales of missing hikers, sabotage, and strange happenstance. He finds answers, but they circumvent expectations. Don't listen to Firewatch's detractors. Sure, its ending might not deliver immediate satisfaction, but the themes are realistic and relatable. Dishonored 2. Arcane Studios are a game developer delivering slam dunk after slam dunk, and their Dishonored series is no exception. Dishonored 2 continues where the first game left off, with its first-person supernatural stealth mechanics providing ample opportunity to complete missions in a multitude of ways, deploying low or high chaos strategies to suit individual playstyle, character choice, and allocated powers. Whilst the game touts a runtime upwards of 40 hours to complete all of its side quests, the story arc itself hovers between 10 to 12 hours. So even if you just did that, you'd still be treated to the famous mind-bending Clockwork Mansion level. Aperture Desk Job. This Valve-created tech demo set within an expanded universe of Portal is simply a means to show off the gaming control schemes of Valve's recently released handheld Steam Deck. It's still playable on PC too, and with it being both free and only 30 or so minutes, there's no excuse not to dive right in. You'll play as an unnamed employee on their first day at Aperture Science, performing duties under the watchful eye of Grady before a series of mishaps results in the development of a rather unconventional invention. Aperture Desk Job is memorable, humorous, and weird. Half-Life ALYX. Set between the events of Half-Life and Half-Life 2 is this VR-exclusive story of an impossible fight against a vicious alien race. Merely diving back into the Half-Life universe as Alex Vance obviously wasn't ticking enough boxes for Valve, as this VR experience, built from the ground up, is all manner of visceral environmental interaction and tangible frantic combat, with the game's gravity gloves, an especially thrilling inclusion. If you're on the fence about VR gaming, then Half-Life ALYX is the one game that will sway you. Unpacking. Zen Puzzler Unpacking is a game touted as the familiar experience of pulling possessions out of boxes to fill a new living space. It doesn't sound exciting, but stick with me. Sure, its soothing gameplay, part block-fitting puzzle and part decorating simulator, fits into the mold of on-trend cozy video games, but it's Unpacking's ability to do so much with its tightly focused gameplay mechanics that's so relatable. In short, it's surprisingly intimate, with a character whom you'll never meet having their life experiences played out with every placement of their possessions. It's only 3 and a bit hours to complete, so in other words, a lovely way to spend an afternoon. Need for Speed Rivals. It's fair to say that the Need for Speed series has a checkered history, but when it's good, it's really good. Insert Need for Speed Rivals, a collaborative effort between first-timer Ghost Games and Criterion Games, with the high-octane racing action the series' early titles were famed for being the primary destination for this entry. Players compete as either racers or cops, with different playstyles supported by career progression systems for each. Its open-world Redview country is simply a stunning location to race through too, helping rivals deliver an altogether fantastic experience. Quantum Break. Originally envisioned as a sequel to Remedy Entertainment's previous title Alan Wake, Quantum Break eventually evolved into its own property, with themes of time travel crystallizing into unique time-manipulating powers for player character Jack Joyce. As seen in Remedy's following game Control, the ability to blend supernatural powers with more conventional gunplay is thoroughly entertaining, keeping players happy and engaged throughout Quantum Break's 10-hour campaign. Tales of Iron. Punishingly brutal RPG adventure Tales of Iron takes place in a charming hand-drawn medieval kingdom overrun by an army of frog-like creatures. Tales of Iron's Souls-like combat requires players to observe their opponent's attacks before striking them down, meaning this isn't a game you can blast through. For mastery of your parry and execution abilities is paramount, with upgradable weapons and customizable loadouts with which to complete the game's savage boss battles. There's plenty to sink your teeth in throughout Tales of Iron's 8 to 10 hour story. GHOSTWIRE Tokyo. This recently released first-person action-adventure sees players take charge of Akito, placing you firmly in the middle of a strangely abandoned Tokyo haunted by ghostly spirits. You're tasked with utilizing your newly acquired supernatural abilities to defeat ghosts via combat inspired by traditional hand gestures. Indeed, the implementation of traditional hand gestures through the PS5's DualSense controller certainly gives tangible feeling that the actions Akito takes on screen are an extension of your own hands. Chicory: A Colorful Tale. Chicory: A Colorful Tale is a delightfully innovative adventure whereby you wield a giant paintbrush over the black and white world of Picnic. Painting allows the player to explore the world, solve environmental puzzles, and make friends. Chicory's allowance to color anything is wonderfully creative, providing a blank canvas world ripe for free expression. It's an emotional, uplifting narrative too, ensuring you don't need to be artistic to get the most out of Chicory. Kena: Bridge of Spirits. This gorgeous action-adventure from Ember Lab won plaudits for being one of 2021's best-looking games. The narrative itself, whereby you take control of young spirit guide Kena using her magical ability to aid the deceased's safe passage to the spirit world, is beautifully told. But it's the art design, wholly original music soundtrack, and exploration in the company of the delightfully cute spirit companions known as the Rot that are the major draws here. If you avoid the game's side quests, Canna Bridge of Spirits can be completed in about 9 hours. Still, it's such a lovely world to exist in. Your playthrough could be much longer, and that's fine with us. That's all for now. If you enjoy what you saw, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, now is a great time to subscribe. We upload brand new videos every single day. After subscribing, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time, right here on GamingBolt.